After the devastating Russian air assault on Kyiv on the 28th of August 2025, in which cruise missiles and Iranian-made Shahed drones rained down on civilian districts, killing at least 25 people and wounding more than 60 others, Ukraine prepared a swift and calculated retaliation. Within hours of the Russian strikes, Ukrainian intelligence and drone command units activated a coordinated counter-offensive designed to hit Russia deep inside its own territory. According to open sources, Ukrainian forces launched dozens of long-range drones, including domestically produced Beaver and UJ-22 models, targeting critical energy and industrial infrastructure across southern and central Russia. The first wave of attacks began late on the night of August 29 and continued into the early hours of August 30, striking the Afipsky oil refinery in the Krasnodar region and the massive Kuibyshev refinery near Samara. Witnesses reported huge fires that lit up the night sky, with explosions echoing for hours as fire crews struggled to contain the blazes. Russian officials admitted that production was disrupted, though the full extent of the damage was downplayed in state media. Independent analysts, however, confirmed through satellite imagery that multiple fuel storage tanks and refining units had been destroyed, temporarily cutting Russia's output by tens of thousands of barrels per day. The Ukrainian counterstrike was not limited to oil facilities. A separate wave of drones, believed to be at least 15 in number, targeted military industrial complexes and logistics hubs in Rostov and Volgograd regions. These attacks were intended to paralyze Russia's ability to supply fuel and ammunition to the front lines. One particularly notable strike hit the Novoshikhtinsk refinery, which had already been attacked earlier in the summer, causing another round of fires and forcing an emergency shutdown of operations. Ukrainian officials emphasized that these attacks were carefully planned to avoid civilian casualties and were directed solely at facilities feeding the Russian war machine. Beyond the refineries, Ukrainian naval drones also played a role in this retaliatory wave. Reports confirmed that a Russian Bayan-M-class missile corvette operating in the Black Sea was struck and heavily damaged by a maritime drone carrying explosives. This marked yet another demonstration of Kyiv's growing ability to project power beyond its borders, using inexpensive but effective asymmetric technologies. In total, Ukrainian sources suggested that over 50 drones were deployed in the retaliatory strikes of August 29 and 30, with at least 30 confirmed hits on Russian territory. Some unverified reports also indicated the use of modified long-range missiles, though Kyiv remained deliberately vague, maintaining a policy of neither confirming nor denying missile use inside Russia. What is clear, however, is that these strikes achieved significant psychological impact. Russian social media was flooded with images of burning refineries, panicked residents describing explosions, and emergency sirens blaring in multiple regions hundreds of kilometers away from the front line. The Russian Ministry of Energy was forced to admit that output from several refineries, including Syzran, Kuibyshev, and Afipsky, had been curtailed, creating ripple effects across domestic fuel supplies. This disruption was so severe that, by the end of August, Russia announced temporary restrictions on fuel exports to stabilize the domestic market, a rare admission of vulnerability in its energy sector. Military analysts point out that the Ukrainian retaliation after August 28 was not just about revenge but also about strategy. By targeting Russia's oil refineries, fuel depots, and transport nodes, Ukraine sought to undermine Moscow's ability to sustain its offensive operations. Every drone that penetrated Russian air defenses and ignited another storage tank symbolized both technological ingenuity and a shifting balance in the war. The strikes underscored how Ukraine, despite lacking the vast arsenal of Russia, could use precision, innovation, and timing to deliver asymmetric blows. The message was clear: if Russia sought to terrorize Ukrainian cities, then Ukraine had the capability and the will to strike back at the economic heart of Russia's war machine. This cycle of attack and counterattack turned the days after August 28 into a critical moment in the ongoing conflict. For Ukraine, it was an opportunity to show both its population and international allies that it would not remain passive in the face of mass casualty attacks on civilians. For Russia, it was a sobering reminder that its rear areas, once thought safe, were increasingly vulnerable to strikes reaching hundreds of kilometers beyond the border. And for the world, it demonstrated that the war had fully escalated into a new phase, one where industrial, economic, and military infrastructure deep inside Russia was no longer immune. The retaliatory strikes of late August 2025 will be remembered as one of the boldest Ukrainian operations of the war, combining timing, technology, and determination to answer devastation with defiance.